Good morning and welcome to the Daily Cyber Briefing for Friday, the 4th of April. I'm Stephen Ridgway. So, following on from yesterday, Oracle now has admitted that there has been a hack. They are claiming that the information is old and it relates to a system, an older system. However, I'm not going to dwell on this, but if you're interested, we'll post an article that summarizes the current position regarding Oracle Cloud and what Oracle are saying about it. However, it does seem that perhaps there was a little bit more truth in some of the claims that were being made over the last few days than Oracle had wanted to admit. There is a flaw in OpenVPN that allows for denial of service of OpenVPN servers. It doesn't affect the client side of OpenVPN. CVE 2025-2704. And it affects, let me just double check, it affects OpenVPN servers running versions 2.6.1 to 2.6.13 that are using the -TLS-crypt-v2 configuration. There's an article in GB Hackers that explains a little bit more about how this vulnerability results in the denial of service. However, if you are using OpenVPN, there is obviously a strong recommendation to upgrade the server side of your OpenVPN environments to 2.6.14. There's a critical Ivanti flaw that's being actively exploited to deploy Trailblaze and Bushfire malware. The impacted versions, well, the vulnerability itself is CVE 2025-22457, CVSS score of 9.0, so it's pretty serious. It is a stack-based buffer overflow. Good old buffer overflows back out to get us. So it affects Ivanti Connect Secure versions 22.7 R2.5 and earlier. It is fixed in 22.7 R2.6. The patch was released last month, so that one, hopefully you will have caught up on. The other one that is other things that are affected by this, Pulse Connect Secure, that was fixed in 22.7 R2.6. Ivanti Policy Secure, that was fixed in 22.7 R1.4, or that is to be made available later this month, April the 21st. And the ZTA Gateway, any versions prior to including 22.8 R2 and earlier are vulnerable, fixed in 8 R2.2, which will be made available on the 19th of April. So if you're using any of those Ivanti products, Ivanti's products are pretty common, so it was definitely be worth making sure that you've patched to the latest versions for those components which have got an available patch, and then begin to plan in and schedule downtime for updates if required, or at least be aware of the fact that you will need to be pushing out updates and testing and so on and so forth relatively rapidly after the 19th and 21st, when the other two patches are made available. Okay, I also came across an interesting article in Cybersecurity News that talks about a new CoiLoader malware variant using LNK files and PowerShell to steal data. Okay, so the fact that it's a new version of the CoiLoader, I don't think is of particular surprise, all malware evolves or is developed and enhanced and improved. However, I think it is a useful reminder that LNK files are increasingly seen as a method of or as part of the delivery chain for malware. So the way this one particularly works is the infection starts with a phishing email carrying a zip file named something that you would probably consider opening. Inside the zip file, there's a shortcut file, a .lnk, a .link, that appears to be harmless. When it's opened, it, according to the article, it secretly executes a command that downloads more harmful files onto the system. This is exploiting a known, it's kind of an architectural weakness in the way that Windows treats files as they're being opened. It allows the command to remain hidden when you're viewing the file properties. So there's a good write-up around how that's going on. Then what happens next, of course, is you get the obvious things. Once the commands run, it because you've done the clicking, as it were, it can then execute that command with your privileges, download further malware, because generally you can download malware if you choose to, and you've chosen to by clicking on it. Do you see what I mean? Well, it isn't quite game over, but it's pretty much game over at that point from the point of view of, is the malware going to end up on your device? Whether it runs or not is another matter. The reason I am bringing this to your attention is that it is an increasingly common method of obfuscating what is going on from the point of view of defenders looking for downloaders. It is something that is worth thinking about, not specifically there are indicators. If you're worried about this particular instance, there are indicators of compromise that you could be searching for in your SIEM or your security visibility tooling, and things that you might want to make sure that your endpoint protection solutions are able to identify and detect and contain. But more generally, it is worth thinking about how you are protecting against malicious links in zip files being sent through as phishing. I would hazard a guess that the major players in the email protection arena would, the cloud-based services, which we don't endorse any products, obviously, but you I'm sure will know the ones that the market leaders in this space. Because they will open files, open attachments, and see what happens, run them in a sandbox. They're very good at blowing away the sandbox, by the way, so it's a fairly legitimate thing to let them do. They would catch this sort of stuff, I'm fairly sure, so long as the downloader doesn't realize it's in a sandbox and then therefore prevent, terminate itself or stop itself from actually downloading the malware. A lot of organizations don't have that level of control. The other area you can control this is around outbound web connections. So we still find a lot of organizations that permit pretty much uninhibited access to the internet direct from endpoints. Or they are pushing that connections through proxies, but they're not doing anything in the way of controlling what's going on. Now, I know that if you go back 10 years, the stuff you could do at a sort of proxy level was very broad brush, bunches of categories, and you're just relying on other people saying, oh well, this is this is a terrorism website, we'll put it in that category, or this is, and then of course you get the ridiculous decisions being made by parts of an organization to ban perfectly legitimate things like, oh dear, you can't go to alcohol or smoking sites, sorts of stuff that just pisses people off without actually doing anything useful. Things have got a lot better, and there are some very good cloud-based solutions that will not only just ban certain categories, but will actually look at what is being uploaded, downloaded, or done through those through outbound connections, which would probably catch this sort of stuff as well. So there are ways in which you can work around this, but having a think about link files in zips being sent through as phishing emails, I think it's an area which is not well enough considered generally at the moment, and it is perhaps something that you need to, or you could run through your risk process and make sure that you are covered. And then finally from me for today, and finally for this week actually, I'm sure you are all very aware of the fact that one of my areas of concern is around connected cars and the frankly atrocious security that is applied to automotive systems. In a world where AI is off on one, and autonomous driving is still being talked about as something which is only just around the corner. It probably is only just around the corner. Hacking a car and taking over a car is so simple, is something that concerns me greatly. If you're interested in a good overview of why and why I worry about these things, and if you would like to understand why I don't believe this is all conspiracy theory, you can call me a conspiracy theorist. I've probably got my tinfoil hat on as we speak, but if you are interested in a very balanced view of why this stuff genuinely matters, there is a very good article in HelpNet Security, which we will link to the briefing, which might make some interesting weekend reading. And hopefully, if you are the unfortunate owner of a modern connected vehicle, you can put it up for sale. Buy something that doesn't run the risk. Only suggestion. Right, okay, that's enough from me for today. I hope you have a good day. Hope you have a great weekend.